Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today we have another live stream for you, Breakup Podcast number 5. And today we're just going to unpack some breakup stories that have been sent in that are real stories from real people that are going through it right now. And if you like this channel, throw me a like. If you don't like this channel, it's better to have an opinion. I'd rather you say you don't like it than just be neutral. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, you know the red button to push, and we're going to be doing live streams more and more regular. And if you need help or want help with your breakup right now, right here, book an appointment with myself, talk for an hour, 2 hours, fully unpack what's going on in your breakup, because it's a lot deeper when we do a live coaching session on Skype or FaceTime. It's night and day how much deeper we get. And like I tell people, right now when you hear me go through these stories and give my take, the difference is in a live coaching session, we can actually go down different rabbit holes, ask more questions. And really a lot of your problems with your breakup have to do with you being stuck on what you want and not what's real. Or you're seeing something in a way that you're framing it in a completely negative way or a way that's not serving you to move forward. And I can help you with that. I can help you get rid of some of those roadblocks to not cure you of the pain, not to necessarily get your ex back in a day or two, but actually clear out some of that dead wood that's in your way for you to move forward and get some clarity about what went down and why. So if you want to do that, the link's down below for writemac.com and my page for that, because I've had some people ask recently, well, how do I get a hold of you? So, like I said, today's going to be all about your stories and me unpacking them. I've talked about this many times before, but the reality is pretty much everything in your life has a story. Have you ever thought of that before? And some people don't share stories because they don't feel like they're very good at them, or they're not ones to share a lot about themselves. But even if you're not like that, that's exactly what you do in therapy, is share the story that you're telling, right? And whatever the approach of the therapist you're using or style, at the end of the day, your perception and interpretation of the events is unique. And it's unique in the way you craft it, in the way you tell it. And that's why writing it out is so damn important. And I get so many people in the comments on my YouTube channel and say, hey, I just need some help. How do I get my ex back? Well, what happened? Well, she left me last week and I owe her money. That's not enough information to figure out. Number one, there is no remedy for all human beings to follow to revamp a relationship. That's the snake oil salesman that says, hey, I got a formula for you. Do this, this, and this will work. The only formulas that really work that way are math, right? And let's look at it this way. Let's unpack it in a different way. A lot of people that want to be business owners, right? There's a lot of entrepreneurship out there. There's a lot of people that want to start a business, okay? Why do people buy franchises? Because a franchise already has a remedy, a formula. They go, all right, we sell this for this price. We have the cost. We have everything in place so that you can run a business and walk into it and go, all right, this is how we're going to make money. There's a bit of a name already on it. And so franchises tend to be much more successful than maybe a mom and pop that's trying to get off the ground. But what's the secret sauce in any of those things? Location, right? And I'd add that a lot of times, people's big problems and breakups is environment. So you can call that location if you want, but your environments that you are frequenting, does that make sense? That you are frequenting, that you are frequently going to, that would be your job place, your home, your neighborhood. Those things are affecting who you are, how you act, and I would add the content you're consuming, such as my YouTube videos, are going to affect who you are, how you act, and what you do. And this all plays into your recovery in a breakup, or you're getting your ex back, or you're moving forward and meeting someone equal or higher value. And some people don't take this all into account. They really don't. So Let me get into the stories right now. Really quick, I have them on deck. This was disconnected for a moment. Okay. So there was a stall there? Yeah, okay. All right, let's get back on deck with the stories. Are you ready for a story? I am. Hey, Coach Mac, I'm 27 and my ex is 32. We were together for over 3 years. We lived together for the last year, and that was a disaster. We just were at each other's throats most of the time, but we still loved each other and had great intimacy. Wow. So you're at each other's throats, but you also have good intimacy. Well, that's a trade-off. Then one day she tells me it's not working, and the number one thing was that I was messy and careless. Well, here's the thing. That would probably be the core problem, being that if once you live together, your messiness and your carelessness is going to be more affecting the individual you live with. And there are people that value tidiness, which would be the opposite of messiness, if messiness is a word, very highly. I've heard of people actually breaking up over this. It is one of those things that can be repaired quicker. It can be overlooked longer periods of time, but it is something that's valued by individuals in different ways. And if someone's parents were very strict about keeping the house tidy and neat, and you're not, it'll drive them nuts because they spent their whole childhood trying to appease their parents with being neat or tidy. And so now they become the parent with you, and I don't think that's a role they want to play. But I have heard of other people breaking up over this. Yeah, absolutely. Is that really a reason to break up? Yes, it is. And it's individually based. Some people can overlook it. What would be the answer? Maybe get a maid if you can afford it, a cleaning lady. I mean, if she said something like, I'm going to break up with you if you don't start cleaning up better, maybe I'd make an effort. Okay, so that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong. I'm sure at some point in the relationship, she hinted to the fact that she has a problem with you cleaning up. So the idea that if she would have gave you a declaration statement like, I'm going to break up with you if you don't start cleaning up, paper, maybe I'd make an effort. That's a very weak statement on your end because you're not respecting her wishes for you to tidy up a little bit more, and you're saying she needs to give you an ultimatum. I would add that you probably wouldn't believe she's serious, but you also would probably hold a bit of contempt that she's taking it there. Like, because other people say when a lot of times adults with any kind of confidence and dignity, someone gives them an ultimatum and they're like, look, I'm an adult. I'm not going to do what you say just because you say it and you want it that way. I also had to put up with her repeated snoring, and she always fell asleep first. So what the hell? Okay, so now you're going tit for tat. Snoring's an issue too. I mean, that's definitely an issue. I've had a girlfriend before that snored, and it's annoying. And there's different ways to work with that. Sleep in different rooms. Some people do that. I think what's annoying is snoring. From what I understand, I don't know all the ailments or what leads to it, but it's something just like tidiness. It can be worked on. It can be fixed. And if you gave her a few hints about it and she's disinterested in trying to do things that would fix the snoring, then that's also a grounds for, where do you go from there, right? Sleep in separate rooms. So if you just are bringing that up because now that you're broken up, it's an issue, or you just bringing it up because now you want to go throw darts, I guess she could have worked on that too. Well, she doesn't, like I said, if she wasn't thinking, the thing about snoring is if someone's asleep, they don't know they're doing it, so you probably have to record them or videotape them. But even then, if there's no consequence to it or there's no direct statement like, hey, hon, I'd really like you to work on the snoring. It's really starting to annoy the hell out of me and affect my sleep. That would be direct. Now I miss her so much, so much, so much, so much. I wonder if we could start over and maybe just not live together. That sounds good in practice, but I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Once someone breaks up, and you said you were together for over 3 years, people want to try on whoever breaks up with who wants to try out being single for a little while. They don't want to, make a U-turn on their decision very quickly unless they're very indecisive people, or there's something like money, or there's something that attaches them to you still. In this particular case, if you did start again, obviously you wouldn't live together, But I don't know if that would be a goal long term to, I'm 27, my ex is 32. I don't know if that would be a goal long term that, we won't live together, because that just doesn't work. So the idea that you've established that living together isn't a good thing for both of you, whether that's things like snoring or being messy, I don't think it just goes, oh, let's take 2 steps back and just not live together and then we'll be together. Because if you live together for a year, there's remnants still there of those problems. Would that solve the problem? At this point, no. At this point, no, because if you went over to hang out at her house or she slept over yours, she's still going to be complaining about you being messy. And the fact that she had to go to the verge of breaking up with you and actually going through with it, she's not going to go back on her word. At this point, I just feel like we broke up over petty reasons that could be worked on. What's your take? Sure, they could be, but who worked on them? You didn't. You said if she would have made a statement that was a little bit stronger, like if you don't start cleaning up, I'm going to break up with you, then you would have done it. You complained about her snoring, so your guys' communication wasn't strong enough. But the reality is sometimes someone can complain about something, sometimes someone can have a problem with something, but then they still don't see the value in quitting that thing. It's like someone that smokes cigarettes, right? Everyone in the world knows that cigarettes are bad for you. I think the jury's out on that. I think 99.9% of the world would go, oh yeah, cigarettes are bad for you, yet there's a lot of people that still smoke cigarettes. What's the consequences? If they knew that cigarettes were going to guarantee them bad lungs or the possibility of cancer, but the reality is the consequences aren't there for years for a lot of people, right? It's like someone could break up over their partner smoking cigarettes, and then the partner goes, I would have stopped if I knew this would happen. It doesn't work that way. You don't get to go back to the future with Michael J. Fox. Can we get back together? Sure, you could, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I don't think these are huge problems, but I'm not sure that you're sharing everything, nor is she sharing everything. And if you said you were at each other's throats most of the time and that your intimacy was still good, that's probably what carried the day. But in a long-term relationship where you live together and she's 32 and you're 27, probably the fact that you guys didn't get along when you lived together, that's not going to get her in the mood to revisit things anytime soon. So give it some time, stay in no contact, accept why you broke up, deal with your pain. If you want to take it a step further, book a live coaching session with myself at writemac.com, and we'll comb through any other details that you haven't shared here. And a lot of times, a short story like this, people will leave a lot of bits and pieces out that are important, and they'll go, actually, I didn't tell you everything. Can I be honest with you? And then when we're in the live coaching session, they go, wow, I feel a lot better telling the truth about this. The amount of times I've had that happen is uncountable. All right, so that's story number 1. Let me check on the live stream here. Still just got Rob on deck. We got 8 on deck. Thanks for the likes, folks. Dayon Chestnut. Hey, Coach, just want to say I saw my ex after months of self-improvement. I worked on myself a lot since the break. My ex, unfortunately, has not, and now she's someone else's problem. Well, there you go. I just saw Michael Jordan interviewed on a random YouTube video with a guy that's some kind of cigar aficionado. And it was interesting because Michael Jordan was being really casual. He's being really, really, really casual. It was almost like an interview that was, he was just having some cigars and some liquor with this guy. And the thing about Michael Jordan, though, like the guy was like, okay. He had his notes out, and he's like, you could tell this guy wasn't an experienced interviewer. He's like, I want to ask you, and you're like, they're puffing cigars, and Michael Jackson's kicked back in the seat, and he's like, this is huge. He goes, what's your biggest disappointment in your life? And Michael Jordan steps back and he goes, I don't really count disappointments or the biggest disappointments, because all disappointments lead to something good. And it wasn't coming from a place of woo-woo, the world's wonderful, I'm so positive, I'm Michael Jordan. He was being directly honest that that's how he looks at things. And I've said it before, without the sour, you can't taste the sweet. What he was saying is disappointments, and he said, I think he used regrets also. He goes, a lot of times you think that, oh, I wish I could rewrite that. But he goes, if you rewrite that, then you have to rewrite everything else that happened after it. And a lot of good things happen after it. So he goes, I don't really dwell on disappointments or regrets. And that's something that you should look at in your breakup sometimes. And that's something for you, Dayon, that we actually did a live coaching session, that you worked on yourself and you kind of got a perspective of like, now, right on, Luna. Luna my first donation. Cheers, buddy. Thanks for that. I just started offering that. I really appreciate it. Luna Martinez. Yeah, that's just been on recently. Thanks for that, buddy. I appreciate it a lot. So, yeah, the idea that everything that's happening to you, and you also, Dayon, it's a gift, bro. Like, that breakup was a gift to you because you were looking at relationships in the wrong way. You got into the thing that really served you too, because you're a young man, is that I think you're 22, 23, Dayon. What really served you is you were like, all right, I didn't do good with this relationship, but you know what? I'm going to work on this. I'm going to figure this out. And you got into books, you got into the coaching, you got into all these other things, and you're a hard worker. And the thing is that people get wrong a lot of times is they think they're going to spend hard work. They're going to spend hard work on getting their ex back, and that's somehow going to work. No. What you do is you spend work on getting yourself more educated, more wise, more in shape, and you just go to work on yourself, and things will fall into place. And I think that's working for you now, Dan, because you got a new job since then, new outlook, more confidence. You got a new toolkit. Correct me if I'm wrong. All right, so let's get into the next one. And if anyone else that's listening right now, we got I think we got 9 on deck. If you got a specific question or you want to drop your story right now, let's go for it. Okay, let's see here. Hello, Coach Mac. I got a hell of a story to share. I think you do a great job of straining out bad interpretations of a breakup, so I'm hoping you'll help me here. Okay, well, thanks for the compliment. Hell of a story. Sounds like my dad. He's got a hell of a story, Mac. All right, my dad used to always go, cut a long story short, right? This is what we do when you send in your story. About 8 months ago, my ex and I officially broke up. We were together for about 10 years. Okay, this is how you always want to start out with the numbers of the relationship. About 8 months ago, my ex and I officially broke up. We were together for about 10 years. That's a damn good run, dude. We broke up in year 5 and 7, but got back together. Okay. I'm just curious, was it the same problem each time? Those breakups were over a lack of interest in getting married. Okay. So I'd tell her now just wasn't the time, and that I saw her as a wife material, but the timing wasn't good. I've heard of this before. The fact that you were together that long and still hadn't made a commitment probably bothered her, and you just don't value marriage or the title of marriage in the same way. And I'm sure you just put a Band-Aid on it and fixed it really quick, but it wasn't going away. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was still knocking. She'd take me back, and deep down I felt like I don't really ever want to get married. So now writing this, I guess I lied. Well, you know, all paths lead to now, dude. So the reality is now you know. At the time, I'm certainly sure that you thought, well, I could marry her later. If a lot of times people say, if I was going to get married, it would be you. I have had friends, though, a really good friend of mine that's quite successful. They have 2 kids now. He used to always say, why would anyone get married? I have no plans of getting married. Then him and his wife got married about 3 years later. And one of the reasons, though, was for citizenship. That was his story. But then they had a kid. So, and now he's happy as can be. He wears his ring. He never brings that up again. He's got another kid since then. So never say never, and the timing could just be off. At the same time, if I was to get married, it would be to her, he writes. I just agree with the I just agree with the concept. I'm thinking you meant I don't agree with the concept. I'm the one that makes the money, so I have a lot more to lose. Well, that's where prenups come into place. So basically what happened was I caught her on a dating app that was for cheaters. I've heard of these. I don't know about them, but I'm sure they're out there. I won't go into the complete details, but she was seeing multiple men, and one of them she even introduced to me as a repairman for our pool. That's dirty. The fact that she brought someone into your house that she's hooking up with, and introduced him as a stranger, yeah, that's a no-no. I'm not sure now if that was just staged for me or what. Well, how would that be staged? How would that be that, oh, you're saying that it wasn't even a repairman? Wow, to even think that. That's one of those things where people look back and they're like, wow, what they did, I can't believe they did that to me. That's a tough one, dude. That is tough. It's really eating at me that she not only cheated but brought the guys in my home. I had no clue. This is a woman that wanted me to marry her. Well, obviously, maybe subconsciously, this is one of the reasons you didn't marry her. Maybe subconsciously, you didn't trust her. I don't want her back at all. Well, good for you. I just want to know, how do I move forward and let go of the bitterness and anger I have for her? I mean, I know all the details and I'm clear on us being done, but I'm having trouble letting go. So he said, yeah, this was 8 months ago. I'm having trouble letting go of what she did to me. The disrespect, the lying, the selfishness. All right, well, what I would start with when it comes up that you're angry or you're upset, neutralize it. Don't fight it. Don't say to yourself, oh, I shouldn't be upset about this. I should just move on. Try to frame it in a way that, well, I'm glad I didn't marry her. Maybe that's one of the reasons I didn't. Neutralize it another way. It's been 8 months. I'm okay. I'm doing all right. I'm doing the best I can. I'll tell you what, I'm glad I found out the truth. See how that's a different frame than, why'd she do that to me? How could she do that to me? You'll never really know. But the good news is you stopped the bleeding. You figured it out. Because the worst thing is like when friends and family all know someone's cheating and you don't know, it's like, wow. So this is one of those things, you will get through it. What I would suggest is start dating again. Start dating again, start going on bad dates, start putting yourself out there. He writes, I can't reason it away. That's a really good point to say, like, I can't find the reasons. You're never going to find the reasons. So neutralize it and live with it. And I would add to this, we had 10 good years. Go through all the things that are good in your life right now that you have. And again, thank yourself for not marrying this individual, because it would have been much, much worse. I'm stuck on going over the same shit again and again. I don't want to be a victim of this forever. Any advice? Every time it comes up, stand up and go, I'm not a victim. Tell yourself that. Tell yourself that. Stop the pity in your head. And I'd also add there's hypnotherapy or something called EFT, emotional freedom technique, when something you can't let go of. I've done that with clients before, and if you want to visit that in a live coaching session, we can do that. So the other thing is 8 months later, you might want to fully unpack all the events with myself or another breakup coach and really strain through everything, get it all out in 2 hours or 3 hours. And sometimes people go, that's just what I needed. I just needed to get everything out. And even if I was to reassure you that you're doing the right thing or agree with you, it still helps that you can get every little last bit of piece out. Friends and family don't want to talk to you for 2 hours about your breakup. And if you're still feeling it, maybe that's what you want to do. Let me check on the live stream real quick. All right. What's up, Dark Knight? What's up, Luna? Luna's back on that. How's it going? I got stuck for months trying to figure out where I went wrong, but in the end, it really wasn't me at all. I did everything right, probably way more than she deserved. Yeah, at some point you got to accept it. There's a client of mine right now that I've been doing breakup coaching with, 3 weeks. He talks to me about once or twice a week, and he was just having all these issues with her emailing him and texting him guilt trips. Like, oh, you don't, like, I don't know, oh, you don't even care about me anymore. I know you're with someone new. And then he'd respond, I'm not with someone new. It's just not working. He would explain himself. And she was the one that broke up with him. So eventually I said, hey, look, you're going to get sick of this, because this guy has a good job. He's got good confidence. He's got a great personality, good sense of humor. You know what I mean? I was like, you're going to have no trouble once you let go of this woman completely. But she was using guilt as a weapon. So and this guy, being what I would call a nice guy, he couldn't just tell her, like, to fuck off. Or he couldn't just say, quit accusing me of bullshit. He couldn't do it. He had to explain himself each time. And each time he explained himself, she pulled him back in. And he just kept feeling like, But why is she saying that I did this? I mean, one of the things was like 3 years earlier, he didn't send in a cable bill or something like that and was late and made a payment or something. She was just bringing up random cheap, petty items, and he kept explaining himself. So just recently, he emailed me. He goes, look, I'm done. Thanks for your help as a coach. I'm officially done, okay? And I just lost it with her in an email. And I knew it was coming because the way she was treating things, he was just going to get sick of it. And people don't realize if your tactics to make someone feel pity towards you or feel guilt towards you, eventually people don't like that feeling. And there's a few individuals out there that might take on the pity and the guilt that might be family members or a parent or something like that. But your ex, it gets old quick. It gets old real quick. All right, I got another story to share. We got the guilt and confusion you feel will pass eventually, trust me. Right on, Dark Knight. He is silly. She wants to rope him in, be ruthless, cut her cold. Azam's fully capable of that. Some people are just damaged, but you won't see it when things are good. You see the true colors when they break up with you. A genuine person will always communicate. Forget the damage shit. Sure. There's a lot of variances in what the damage is, too. All right, we got 14 on deck. Thanks for the likes, folks, and thanks for the donation, Luna. It's much appreciated, bro. All right, hello, Coach Mac. I love your channel. Please give your take on my story. I just paid at your site. Hope I'm not too far behind in line. This was that was not, there was no urgent option or I would have paid for it. Yeah, there is no urgent option. You just get lined up with when you paid. So he went to writemac.com, paid for his story, and here we go. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend, or excuse me. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend about 3 months ago. I'm 38 and he's 35. We ended on semi-good terms. What does that mean? That means that you believe it was good, but she believed it was bad? I don't know. Semi-good terms. It's either good or bad. I mean, we still slept together twice a week for the first 2 months of the breakup. Well, that seems like it was more than semi-good. I trust him, and I'm still oh, no, I'm sorry. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend about 3 months ago. Sorry, I got two different stories here lined up, and I'm getting confused. So that's correct. I said girlfriend. I said boyfriend. I broke up with my ex-boyfriend about 3 months ago. I'm 38 and he's 35. We ended on semi-good terms. I mean, we still slept together twice a week for the first 2 months of the breakup. That means the intimacy was good. That means the attraction was still good. I trust him. That's important. There's trust, chemistry and connection, and attraction and intimacy. Those are your three pillars. I mean, I trust him and I'm still attracted to him. I guess it's our connection that's gone down the drain. Well, probably. Well, that's what he said. As I said, I broke up with him, but if I'm to be honest, I did it to get his attention. Now, this is interesting. So this was a tactic to somehow get this guy to chase her some more, I suppose. I was hoping he'd beg me back and show me that he cared to have a better relationship. Well, it looks like you took the wrong approach, hon. I mean, if someone took that approach with me and we were in a relationship, it doesn't say how long you were together. And then later on, it was divulged to me that they wanted me to fight for the relationship or something like that. I said, well, that would be the wrong way to go about it. The last year, I could tell he's not happy, and he'd say things like, you can't stop complaining about everything and everything. He said I had lost my sweetness. Looking back, it's true. Well, then maybe the breakup had to happen if you had to look back and go, you know what? Actually, it's true. But we still were together for over 5 years. Okay. About a year ago, he became a Reiki healer and a yogi. Reiki healing is very interesting to me. I've always liked yoga and the gym, but he's become much more spiritual. I just don't buy all the hocus pocus, clear your chakras, and the world is better crap. Great way to put it. I had a rough childhood. I had a tough childhood and some brutal teen years. I don't think the world is a kind place, but I'm able to deal with that and be honest about it. So right there, you're divulging that you look at the world in a different way. He looks at it in a different way, and that's how you lost connection. So you basically went like this, and there's no secret why you probably broke up, because People say people don't change. They do. And they change by doing a Reiki healing course and taking on yoga 7 days a week. And you're saying, I'm pretty much the same person. I look at life in a different way. And I'd add what makes it worse is he's doing something that he probably believes is extremely positive, and you're looking at it in a negative context. So that's double whammy, right? He somehow thinks he can will things to be better and more positive energy healing. I just can't get on board with that. So if you can't get on board with that, maybe you broke up because of that too. But now that we've been officially in no contact for a month, I really miss him and would do anything to get another chance. Should I take a Reiki healing class so I can understand where he's coming from? Would he be impressed by this? That's a really good question, because normally I would say don't do something just to get your ex back, but something like a Reiki healing course, maybe something like that would make you understand him more. Saying that, I'm not going to tell you that that's going to increase your chances of getting back together, because if he was unhappy with you for over a year, he accepted the breakup, that is by no means going to get you back together. So if you're doing it only for that reason, but if you're curious about Reiki and maybe that you looked at it in a wrong point of view, then go for it. Take the class. But the idea, would he be impressed by this? That's the wrong reason to do it. Any other suggestions to get his attention and let him know he's missing out on a good thing? So just a hunch here. If you did the Reiki course and say like you guys are still connected on Instagram or Facebook or one of these things, and I'm thinking that you're planning on like floating a picture of you doing Reiki healing or going to a retreat in yoga or something, and you somehow are hoping to get his attention, I'll tell you from the other end of this, knowing breakups pretty well, people will always tell me, I think it's so crazy. Now she's trying to become a Reiki healer or something after putting it down for so long. So actually people look at it as like you're being a farce because they've known you for so long. And a lot of times they don't believe it's genuine. And so if you do it for yourself, and it's a bonus if he comes back because of it. But otherwise, you're going to set yourself up for some disappointment because he probably isn't going to believe you're genuine in doing it. Any other suggestions to get his attention? Let him know he's missing out on a good thing. Well, that's the same reason you ended up in this situation, is you tried to force him to, like you wrote here, if I'm to be honest, I did it to get his attention. I broke up with him to get his attention. And if you're going to go out of your way to get his attention that he missed a good thing, I don't know if that's good intentions. 5 years is nothing to throw away, and our bedroom life was outstanding. Well, it was outstanding for you, but he seems to have enough confidence to move on and move forward and maybe find someone of equal or higher value in the bedroom. In short, I want him back before time goes by and I lose all chances. That's extremely needy, and that's not going to serve you moving forward, that kind of an attitude. There's no such thing as losing all chances. I'm sure that you haven't burned up all your chances here, but the idea of you're the one that broke up with him, in that case, you're going to have to step up and be honest and vulnerable and let him know that you miss him and that you care about him and you'd like to see him again. That would be you stepping up. Does that mean he's going to get back with you? No, but you're the one that broke up with him. So you need to drop your arms a little bit. All right, getting back into this. Some people are just damaged, but you won't see it when things are good. You see the true color. Okay, we came over that before. What's up, Johnny? Azam, how you been, bro? She wants him to submit. If he did, she would lose interest. Yes, good point, Azam. I agree. Been dope. I would stray away from sleeping with an ex after or during a breakup. It's not emotionally healthy for the dumpy. What's a great alternative to that word, Mac? What's a great alternative to that word, Mac? What do you mean? What word? Dumpy? You mean dumpy? I don't know. I don't like to use dumped either. I don't usually use that. Put me on the spot there. What's an alternative to the word the dumpy person that you broke up with, the person that you left. I don't know if there's a certain word. That's interesting though, because someone could use something very negative. I don't even like using the term like I got dumped. It's just so negative. We broke up. That's how I always look at it. I always look at it that way. There was a breakup. Because in reality, even if someone wanted to break up with you, the ultimate place you want to come from eventually as the dumpee is acceptance. If you can get to acceptance, it's a very, very strong place to be, that you can accept it because you have enough confidence to move on. All right, we got one more story on deck here. We got 14 on deck, 5 likes, much appreciated. Someone wants to send in their story, send it in to writemac.com. I'd appreciate that. So we can get more of these stories every day. And the stream's going to be on a regular time slot next week starting on Monday. So I'll have that posted on Coach Mac McCarthy Instagram. We're also going to have someone that's helping me out with my Instagram, we're going to have a competition or a prize. What would I call that competition? We're going to have a contest for a free coaching session. So that'll be coming up soon. I don't know. There's some kind of things you got to do on Instagram to get that. But most of you that are on the live stream today that I can see, I don't know if you guys I don't know if you want a live coaching session. You just like the live streams, right? Please give me your take if you want me to talk about some new topics for next week. Go ahead and shoot. I'm going to go over the next story. But if you have a topic that you want me to unpack, maybe in a live stream, or if you have some ideas that you want me to talk about with some people as callers, we're going to have that on deck very, very, very soon with call-ins. My idea is to have past clients that have already divulged their story with myself that are comfortable talking about it again. If someone wants to go over their current story, that's fine too. But it's going to be story-based on the phone thing. So someone's got to come with a good story that they want help unpacking. So let's get back to it. Hey there, Coach Mac McCarthy. I love the channel, and it's finally growing a bit. Good for you. Well, thanks for the compliment. I've been watching you off and on for a while now and thought it's time to send my story in and get your take. I'm 44, my ex is 38. We were together for 5 years. It was love at first sight for both of us. Well, good for you. I've never had love at first sight, but I've been attracted to a lot of women at first sight. I know that because she told me that. Okay. I don't know if I like the way that came out, but okay, good for you. I think we made love every day for the first 1.5 years. Then for the next 3 years, we had plenty of lust. Well, good for you. Again, every day for 1.5 years. Wow. I've never experienced that. I'm impressed. Until about 6 months ago, things really started to flame out. She got news that her sister was pregnant in another country. And at first, she was really happy for her. And then it turned into this weird jealousy. So I was told by her that she would never be able to have kids, to which I said no problem, as I had no desire to have kids at this point in my life. Then once the sister got pregnant, I guess she got the itch to have kids, which I thought was impossible. Isn't that an interesting word, impossible? Well, it sounds like this is very common. Relationships are affected by close family members, colleagues, and friends. And what happens to those colleagues, friends, and when I say friends, close colleagues, neighbors. I'll remember a story. This is a friend of mine I met 8 or 9 years ago. Was getting divorced after 20 years. His wife left him while they were doing a training course in, I think, yoga. And they had traveled together. They had some problems, and she left him on the trip in Chiang Mai, Thailand. And he was beside himself. I've met him through mutual friends, and I was like, This is before I did breakup coaching. I'm like, I've been through a breakup, went and got a coffee with him. This guy was absolutely beside himself. And I've stayed in contact with him since. He's actually a good person to get on here. But he's fine now. He's married. He's got in his eyes, a much better wife, much younger wife. And someone that they got land together. They got all this. He's happy as a clam. But the interesting thing about it was he said years later that their neighbor, who was very close to his wife, she said to him, you know what, Gary, I'm sorry. She goes, I think I might have affected your relationship because when I got my divorce, I felt like, I forgot his wife's name, was jealous and really thought that was an opening for her to explore new things in her life. And the neighbor's no one to blame. There's no reason for the neighbor to be sorry, but it affects people's outlook on things when friends, family, and colleagues have something happen to them and it's exciting. People get jealous and they think, well, I want that too. So then once the sister got pregnant, I guess she got the itch to have kids, which I thought was impossible. So some doctors said she could try some things, but right off the bat, I said, look, I'm 44. I don't really want kids. I don't really want kids. Just say you don't want them, dude. Don't beat around the bush. Because that's not one of those things where you're like, yeah, I can kind of give in. It's kind of like you're committed for the rest of your life. This crushed her. She said she would consider adopting an older kid. She said, would you consider adopting an older kid, like 4 or 5? I said, no, never. So that's very crystal clear. Again, just crushed. This was literally the beginning of the end of us. She didn't really bring up again for months, but she became more catty and bitchy around the house. She complained about everything I did. I could sense something was wrong, but I didn't know it was the kid thing. Okay, but now you do. So about a month ago, we had another talk, and she had been drinking a bit, and she blurted out that she will leave me and look for a real man that wants to be a father. I said, wow, you've been holding that for a while. She took some more shots at my masculinity and that every man's goal should be to have a baby. I was thinking, okay, this wasn't the case for the last few years. She then started crying and saying how hard it's been to live with someone who doesn't care to be a parent with her. Well, this is completely unfair because you're saying that early on you already had that chat and she already said she wasn't interested, and she even said she didn't, have the ability to have kids. So this is one of those situations where she just took a turn in a completely different direction and expects you to go with her. I was shocked. I didn't really know what to do, so I walked out and she said, let's talk about it. So I walked out and said, let's talk about this in the morning. When I came home, she was packing her stuff at this point, fully drunk, second bottle of wine. Again, wasn't sure what to do. She ignored me with her headphones on, packing away. I went to bed and thought, we'll discuss this in the morning. In the morning, she was gone, has some odd boxes still here, but wrote a letter simply saying, bye, it was a good relationship, time to move on, best to you. I didn't believe it. Well, you know what? Reading this and hopefully you writing it, you should believe it because there's an extreme possibility. Having a kid is a big deal, and her being 38 and pretty much at the end of her biological clock, she's only got so many years left, and her sister had it. I'm not sure there's anything you can do to change the tide here because you don't really want to have a kid. And if you're just like questionable about having a kid, don't do it. You should be all in. I called her. She didn't pick up. I called her sister as I was worried about her. Her sister said she told her everything and that she wants to pursue a kid with a dad. It's interestingly put. That she knows you're not interested and she doesn't want to convince you otherwise. That seems pretty clean and clear, and I think even though it hurts you, it's better to just rip the Band-Aid off because if you continued on this road, she's not going to stop it. There's no other way to negotiate this than you either to adopt or have a kid at this point, and you don't want neither. She's gone now and doesn't want to talk to me, the sister continues. She's gone now, doesn't want to talk to you, not because she hates you, but just to move forward. So now, a full month later, I'm clear on why she left, but I'm still fully shell-shocked here. I'm hurting. I've even thought that maybe we could adopt. I'd be open to it now. If you're open to it now because you're broken up and you're lonely, I think you should take some more time away from the situation, like 3, 4, 5 months. You need to sit on that for a bit longer, that you're not just doing this just to appease someone or to get rid of your hurt. Only I've heard through the grapevine that she's going all in on getting artificially inseminated. Wow. I can reach out to her now and maybe explore the baby thing more openly. You know what? Even if you were to say that you want to explore the baby thing openly, if you're not all in 100%, don't do it. What do you think? Don't do it if you're not 100% in. Don't do it to appease her because she broke up with you. Otherwise, how do I get over her? Continue to be in no contact, exercise a lot, read good books, talk to breakup coaches, sleep well, eat well. This is going to take time. He says, how do I move on 5 years to dust? You start today, keep showing up in your life. And it's not gonna happen in a day or night or a month. It's gonna be hurtful. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be rough on you. But the alternative is what? To be pushed into a corner and have a kid you don't want to have? Doesn't seem like a good alternative to me. And if you went back to her and said, I think I want to have a kid, she's not gonna believe you. And by doing that, even if she put you in that position, she's gonna overcompensate and demand more of you to take control of the situation, and your relationship will never be the same. This can't be a common breakup. Give me your take, please. I just gave you my take, but couples breaking up over the idea of having a kid, yeah, it's very common. Very common, of course. This was lust disguised as love in the beginning. In terms of online dating, why do a majority of online matches lead to nowhere? Some women seem to be emotionally detached when carrying their end of the conversation. What's your take on that, online dating? Online dating, actually, people think it takes less work, but I think it takes more work for most people. Because what you're doing is, I've talked about this before, you're having to strain through options that you normally probably wouldn't even give the time of day to. So it takes more work as far as, it depends on what dating site you're on, but I'm assuming it definitely works in the favor of people that photograph well. If you're really good looking and you look good in a photo, some women that wear makeup well, I mean, let's face it, some people look better in photos than others, and that's what you're going on. I don't know any other way to dice it. Especially men looking at women. I would say that women are going to have way more options than men, because men will aimlessly search for women, where women are more constructive in exactly what they want. Let me describe that. Men will go, oh, she looks cute. I'll send her a message. I'll throw a fishing line out. Men, oh, she's okay. She's all right. She's actually got a nice smile. And they'll throw 80 lines out the side of the fishing boat. Well, women will go, no. They'll know more distinctively what they want. And so guys will probably get less options on their online dating. That being said, the normal things like looks, you can't prove how much money you have. But the most misleading thing about online dating is that you don't always look like your picture, right? I don't know how you can go around that. I think people have told me about Hinge. There's a couple other ones. I think the worst thing about online dating is to have a few bad experiences where you meet someone that's creepy. This is especially for women. Or you meet someone that just rejected you in a way that's really hurtful. You took it personal. Dealing with the rejection of the dates not working out can lead to people giving up on it. And the reality is you got to shovel through a lot more shit on online dating, but there are some gems at the bottom. I've known people that have done it for 2, 3, 4 years, and it's worked out really well for them. I've known other people, like I said, a lot of people like in their mid to late 20s that use something like Tinder and are in good shape, look pretty good. They seem to do really well on it. But a lot of times I have noticed that even though they get a lot of bites, they get a lot of attention, they get a lot of shallow relationships. They don't. And I think that, Luna, I'm not sure if you're in your early 20s. I think where things are headed, relationships are just more shallow than they used to be. People are quicker to jump a relationship than they used to be, especially in American culture, Western culture, I think. And if someone's got high hopes on an online dating site to somehow find their wife or their long-term partner, and they put that out right away, it doesn't work out. The other thing in online dating that I've noticed is a lot of people settle for long distance. So they're like, oh, this person lived an hour and a half away or 2 hours away, which is, it might not be like the long distance where you're, a flight away. But online dating has considerably ramped up the amount of people that are willing to date someone that lives far away. And that could be a good thing and a bad thing, because we just talked about it yesterday. Someone was saying, I think it was you, Johnny, that that before you and your girlfriend right now lived together, that you saw each other 2 or 3 times a week. I think Dark Knight talked about this too. Seeing each other 2 or 3 times a week was a good thing. And so the long distance can be nice, but the online dating's absolutely contributed to more people accepting that as a normal thing, and then later on having it hinder their relationship and complaining about it. The only way around that is put yourself in an environment where you live that bodes more options. I don't think people look at that enough. Oh, I could never move. Okay, fine. I'm just saying that your options beyond online dating, actually I'd say online dating, your environment counts too, because in the proximity of where you live is who you're going to meet. So it really counts. The city and the area or the town that you live in is going to dictate a lot of times what your options are, right? Like if you live in a like a suburb where there's not a lot of universities and you're in your early 20s, and you're probably going to meet people that you went to high school with. Do you know what I'm saying? So going back to your question, in terms of online dating, why do a majority of online matches lead to nowhere? Some women seem to be emotionally detached when carrying their end of a conversation. What's your take on it? I think that a lot of the women too have gone through so many guys and so many dates that if you're not you don't have as much time to sound interesting or to get their attention. Because I've been on an online dating site before, and I remember asking a question, and it felt like the reason the woman was so detached is she's already answered that question 15 times. And so what I would say is get to the part where you meet up and you're in person. Don't spend a lot of time texting. A classic chase tactic. She wanted him to beg. LOL, Rob says. The minute he begs, she will subconsciously begin to hate him. Yeah, it's interesting how when you write out your story, that stuff comes. Well, to be honest with you, I did just want to get his attention. That's why I broke up with him. She's pressuring him. Yep, I know the feeling. It's kind of strange dynamic there. Judy Jack Burton, welcome. How are you, hon? Women's biological clock can play havoc on their emotions. It really does. Great to have you on, Judy Jack. It's been a while, hon. I think it does. I mean, I'm 39. I've worked with a lot of women that age. I've had relationships with women that age in their late 30s, and it does change. And it does change if their friends have kids and whatnot. It's absolutely true. Very true, Judy. My sibling has been talking about starting a new family a lot recently. She's in her mid-30s. Yep, that's when it hits. It's biologically ingrained. You got to get them online daters offline fast as possible. Oh, Johnny knows. Men need to have an abundance mindset when dating. Tinder swinging right all day. Oh, Tinder swiping right all day. Met my girlfriend online. Yes, I always looked for people being local when online dating. But you live in maybe you don't want to divulge this, but you live in New Jersey, so you probably live in a big city, right? Yeah, I think that the certain areas do dictate your options and what goes down. So where are we at right now in the live stream? It doesn't say on this. I don't have a time. All right. So anyone have any questions? Any questions regarding your breakup, your situation, or any topic you'd like to talk about next week? And I'll get into it for the live stream next week. No, just crickets. So we got down. My city is full of transients. It's a little more difficult to find a genuine. Why would you say that would make it more difficult? Why would that make it more difficult that my city is full of transients? So it's a little bit more difficult to find a genuine relationship. I think that, why are you looking at it that way? You're talking about Vegas, right? Marriage to, if women see all the friends getting engaged, they put pressure on their current situation. It's so true. It really, when people come to me and go, oh my God, our friend, it's like you can't really change that. You can't demand someone stop hanging out with their friends because you don't like the effect it has on your relationship. Yes, decent state, you can go to New York as well. Yeah, one of the clients I've had in the past, that he lived in New Jersey, but he worked in New York. He did online dating. He wasn't, the thing about online dating, you got to stay with it. I think what people get lost in, I don't believe in soulmates. I don't believe in the one. I do believe that you do meet special people that you line up with really well. Excuse me. But if you want to believe in soulmates, believe there's multiple ones. But I know that in my time when I've met a girlfriend, looking back, when I first met them and first started dating them, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is the one, thanking God and everything like that, and thinking to myself I was walking on water and all that. But I remember there wasn't like a questionable interest. How should I say that? You know, like you meet someone, you're like, oh, I kind of like her. She's kind of cute. She seems cool. She's okay. It was more like, no, I like her. And I don't know why. But there was other times when you just like them because you're attracted to them. So I shouldn't say I don't know why. But you like them, and you're instantly attracted to them, and you don't have to try to like them. So like, you go on a date, sometimes you're like, yeah, she's cool, she's all right. But there's just something about her that doesn't make me want to make a move, or there's something about her that doesn't make me want to go out with her again. And I think that when you go on online dating, there's something that's missing from when you work with someone or you meet someone through a friend in person, that gets diagnosed right away. You're just like, ooh, I like her. Then you don't even, I'm not the type to be like, oh, this is going to be my girlfriend or anything, but I'm saying that you don't need to try to make this person bigger or better than they are. You just immediately, like, it just fits like a glove. It's like a really nice pair of shoes that fit you perfect right when you put them on. And then you go out and it's just effortless. Finding those kind of matches, whether you get online dating to help you, or you're really good with women, or you're really good with men if you're a woman, or vice versa, whatever, they don't come around every day. That's the reality, right, Judy Jack? I mean, that's one of those things. It's like, I think that finding someone that's a really good match for your values and your identity, it doesn't just drop out of the sky. It could take 6 months. It could take a year. In the meantime, go out, date, have a good time. Take care of yourself. Keep yourself active and ready. But the reality is that there was a client of mine. I think it took him like a year and a half. Great job. I'm thinking about the guy in New Jersey. He had a really big problem with his breakup. He had an 18-year relationship or something like that prior to the breakup. And then it took him about a year and a half of online dating. And now he sent me a little video clip of him getting down on bended knee and proposing. And he was like, I'm thankful that you helped me through this time and whatnot. But what my point is, you can be the most attractive individual. It still takes time to meet someone that's a good match for you, because human beings are so intricate. They're so different. They're nuances. I rarely talk to someone from NY, and if I did, I would have them come meet me in my area, or we maybe met halfway. Yep, Vegas. A huge chunk of people here are either looking for a quick fling, mainly because they're touring from another state or country. It's tougher to find actual locals. Well, then move. Move back to L.A. Because L.A., Southern California, well, I don't know what's going on in Southern California right now. There's a lot of people complaining. I don't know what that's all about. But if you moved once, move twice. Set yourself up. Give yourself, you're young, man. Take another. If you don't like the vibe of the city you live in, and the thing is, when you live in a city, it might just be the area you're in. It might just be the job you're at. Changing a job or just changing an area is different. Like when I lived in San Diego, living by the beach, living downtown, living inland, completely different. You know what I mean? Completely different situation. And once you move into an area that suits you, like when I lived in the beach area of San Diego, Pacific Beach and Mission Beach, especially Mission Beach at the time, it suited me down to the boots. Like right away, I was just like, wow, this is such a cool place to live. Just a great vibe. Everyone was in between 20 and early 30s. I guess I wouldn't fit in now that I'm 39. I'd be an old slug there, I guess. But yeah, it's just like the vibe, the weather, everything like that. And someone would say, "Oh, I could never do that." Why not? I mean, that's one of the gifts of being single. So, and the ability to go somewhere new. And if you can't do it, plan for it now, right? You got to plan for it. All right, folks, is there any closing questions? Any closing questions here? I think I might have one more story in me. Moving is a great way to challenge yourself. I love Encinitas. Have you been there, Mac? I know of Encinitas, obviously from living in San Diego. I never lived there. I knew people that lived there and liked it. It was more of a suburb town. Go for it. I would say anywhere I'm highly biased. I lived there for 3.5, 4 years in San Diego. I just loved it. I loved it. I loved the people, the vibe, the weather was. There's got to be some of the best weather in the world. I mean, it's 70s. I don't know, 9 or 10 months a year. I mean, it rarely rains. There's 1 month of gloominess called June gloom. So any part, and the people, weather affects personalities and moods. It absolutely does. So where you live counts. So if you have an inn in Encinitas, or you know someone over there, or you can get a job, you get an apartment, go for it, man. I would not hesitate. San Diego, and if you're in your early 20s, even if you're not in school, which I don't think there's a requirement for anything to go to. I went to college. I went to junior college in San Diego. It was a great experience for me. You got three or four major junior colleges. You got Mesa. What's the other one? I forgot their names. Grossmont or something like that. I forgot them. Anyways, and then you got 4 major universities. Now, even if you don't go to school, you just got a ton of young people that are your age. So that's a great environment to meet someone. Great environment. So you did your thing in Vegas. It served its purpose. And the cool thing is, whenever you live in a city for a little bit, you can always go back. And you challenge yourself to live somewhere where not all your friends and family were. That's big, man. That's a big one. Big, 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 big. It changes you in a lot different way. And it gives you the ability, when you do that, even for a year or so. What's up, Chanchito? How you doing, bud? Glad to catch you. How you been? You okay? Is everything better? Haven't heard from you for a while. You're going to be going to Germany, I think, Chanchito, right? Yeah. But the ability to be able to move and live on your own and not be close to friends and family puts you in a really good position to become a stronger adult and become a person that's not so fearful of being alone. Because whenever you move somewhere new, you have to deal with being alone a little more often. Skinner, what's up? I saw a live stream from Vegas recently. Lots of people on the strip there. Well, I don't know what the rules are there right now, but I mean, Vegas is always going to be Vegas, right? It's always going to draw people. It's always going to get people as long as people can go there. Gambling is always going to be popular. Sweet, man. Chanchito, I'm really glad to hear that, bud. I'm not surprised that, one thing that you did with your situation is you were dealing with it. You know what I mean? You weren't pushing it to the side. You were sending me bits and pieces, in a private video message. So you're getting advice along the way rather than sleeping on it. There's a lot of value in getting someone like myself or someone else's opinion, if you value someone else's opinion immediately when you're going through it in a breakup and a situation arises. There's a lot of value in that to maybe put you at ease that you're doing the right thing, or to unpack it in a different way that you're not looking at it, that maybe one of your friends or your colleagues can't do for you because they're just not willing to take a deep look at your breakup. I think we lose track of the idea that friends and family members, a large majority of them have their own problems, and so they just don't want to get into yours too much. And so, Chanchito, right when you had problems, you'd send me the message and go, "Hey, I just got this just happened, da 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 da." And I think that's good. That's how you dealt with it. The private video response is a good one for a lot of people because you don't have to share it in a public YouTube video. You get my take right away, and then hopefully you have a new perspective where it's not the end of the world and you don't know what to do, and the sky's falling. Because reality is, especially if you have, like you, Chanchito, you have a really good catch, you have a situation that's very clear what the problem is, it's a long distance, and if you were, one of the interesting things we brought up about your situation that I think we can talk about in the live stream briefly, it doesn't have anything to do exactly with your story, but here's what's really interesting. Let's just put this scenario, not just for Chanchito over here. You and your ex are long distance, right? Or let's just say you and your girlfriend are long distance, or you and your boyfriend are long distance, vice versa. It really counts who's where. Now think about that. Because when you go long distance and like someone's in a town of 100 people in Oregon with, deer and antelope running around and cattle farms, and someone else moves to New York City, guess what? The person in New York is going to have a ton of more options. And the more options that come their way as a human being, the emotional cheating idea, they're going to stray away, and they're going to go, yeah, you know what? I don't want to talk to Dan in Antelope, Oregon, for the rest of my life when I'm in New York doing my thing. So where you live and the options it provides, whether it's a big city, and especially universities. I mean, this is a big one. My ex went to a university. I stayed home and worked. Always the person at the university is the one that strays away. Surprise, surprise. Why is that? Because the hometown that has no university compared to the lifestyle of a university of 20,000, 30,000 students that are all the same age range, working towards an education, partying on the weekends together, it's unbeatable. And that individual is eventually going to, even though they love their partner and they were high school sweethearts or they were so great together, the temptation is just way too high in those arenas. And so the only way that works out is that you have to give. You have to give your partner the benefit of the doubt. You have to let them be, and you have to think to yourself, do we open up this relationship? Am I going to move to her university town? Am I going to move there? And the reality is, for the people that like in their early 20s, long distance, it's at a way different. Long distance is already difficult, and it can work. But if you're in your early to mid 20s and it's university based, I'd say you're in like the 5 percentile of it working. It's just extremely, extremely difficult. Skinner, before I go off, do you have any predictions on the draft? If you're still on. We got 15 on deck, 5 likes. I appreciate the likes. It helps out the algorithms, I guess, or so I'm told. This week, go to my Instagram, Coach Mac McCarthy. I will have some kind of contest we're running if you want to get a free live coaching session with myself. When is the draft? I think it's like November 20th or 21st, if I'm going to guess off that. I think that's about it, Skinner. We're guaranteed to get a good player of the Warriors. Wiseman or Edwards. I definitely don't want Ball, 100%. Moving to a new environment post-breakup is a tough pill to swallow, but the rewards it reaps play a positive role in your emotional state. Even if you move somewhere and it's not good at first, it makes you grow. It makes you stronger. I think your team goes for Wiseman or Trey. And the funny thing about that, Skinner, is they keep saying, like, oh, the Warriors aren't interested in Wiseman, which tells me that the Warriors are just throwing up a smoke screen. Because if they say they're interested in Wiseman, I mean, when all this stuff that comes out, it's like, do you think all these front offices are going to divulge everything? Then Minnesota would draft Wiseman and try to trade down. That's ridiculous. Ball will not be. If Ball is drafted by the Warriors, I'd be shocked. I think he's highly overrated. And I would not want the baggage of his personality or his dad hanging out at the arena. Lonzo Ball was a better prospect coming out, I thought, to be honest. Lonzo Ball played at UCLA, not the Australian League. He was sick in college, and he just hasn't materialized as well. So they're saying LaMelo's better. I don't know. I don't think so. People underrate. They underrate personality, and the fact I've seen LaMelo interviewed before, and he doesn't seem like the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm just sorry. He's like slow on things. He's got a gold chain on him that looks like a bike chain that you can lock up your bike with. I mean, it's just, I'd go. You really have to go on character, man. Like James Wiseman seems like he's young, but I actually really like Obi Toppin. I don't understand why he's not number one. I really don't. Oh, believe me, the place matters. But hey, time always passed. Letting go of the outcome is the best we can do, and definitely your videos help a lot. Thanks, Sean Cheeto. I appreciate you, bud. And keep me posted. I like good news too. You know, a lot of times people will be like, hey, man, I just wanted to send you an update. I'm doing really well. I met a new woman. Life's good. Thanks for your help. You know what I mean? Let me share on the good times, too. Definitely thank you for your continuous support, Matt. We all appreciate you. Right on, Luna. Sorry I've missed you guys. I always miss your streams. No need to say sorry, Todd. How you been, bud? Can you grab that bag? I'm going to put the battery in. Thanks. It's here. Yeah, there you go. Throw that in. We got 15 on deck. I'll keep going if you guys have some questions here. The dark horse, though, is that Denny kid from Israel for the Warriors, I think. All right. I really like Toppin, too. I'm just worried that he'll turn into another Aaron Gordon. Really? I've heard him interviewed. He sounds sharp, man. He's a good dude. He just was a late bloomer, but I just can't understand why he wouldn't be They're saying because he's 23 that he doesn't have the same potential. That's the rumor, yeah, that Denny might go to the Bulls. But, I mean, Toppin, when I see his highlights, he reminds me of Omari with a three-point shot. I mean, he looks good. Like I said, you got to listen to these guys get interviewed. Todd, go ahead. You can ask a question anytime, bro. The Instagram show didn't have today's listed. Did it? I didn't have an Instagram schedule up. I am going to have one up this week, and it'll be more detailed. I might even go for 2-a-days this week because I'm loving this new mic setup. This is so much fun. When you hear it through the headphones and the nice, cool sound makes a difference. Older draft picks are underrated. I don't understand. It's 2 years, and the guy's way more polished. And the thing here's one of the things he shoots for a high percentage. So it's just odd. Jordan Poole was a bad pick. I'm not a big fan of him. The Instagram schedule didn't have today's live list. Okay, it's been good. Your schedule is totally different now. Yeah, I'm working on making it more consistent. My plan might be to make it more consistent is actually have it on earlier. So it might be on, like right now, I know it's really late for a lot of you guys, but might have it on about 3 hours earlier, which would be 7 or 8 a.m. my time. It would be more like 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. East Coast. They're in a win now mode. I would love for him to take top. The rumor is they really like that Denny kid. I don't know, but who knows? I think it'd be very difficult to pass on Wiseman because he has a sweet jumper too. Sabina caught that. You're moving to Germany? Yeah, Mac. I think announcing a YouTube live stream on your Instagram at least an hour or so before you start would be a great way to bring the people in. Luna, it's I've been using a schedule for the last 2 or 3 weeks prior to that, and there was still some slow time. What about Eric Pascal? He was a second. I like Eric Pascal a lot. Another guy, high character. You hear the guy interviewed? He's just a good guy, hard worker. He was another one that I think he fell because of his age. What was your question, Todd? I'm waiting on bated breath here. Petty Betty came in late. How are you? Now we got 16, 17 on deck. Married woman. Judy Jack comes in to say hello to Mary. We got a dream team here. Right on. I'm dating a girl who is a PA, so personal assistant. Is that what I'm going to assume that is? And she saw me and helped me prescribe me medication, and her boss insisted she can't date me for a conflict of interest or she could lose her job. Can you clarify what a PA is to you? A personal assistant or pediatrician? I'm not sure how. Help and she saw me and helped prescribe me medication, and her boss insisted she can't date me for a conflict of interest. Physician assistant, I wouldn't know that. I would think personal assistant. Okay, I know what a physician assistant is. Well, I can see where her boss is coming from, but let me ask you this. Was she interested in you? Did you get that vibe that she wants to date you, or do you think she was using that as an excuse? I could definitely see that being a conflict of interest, though. That being said, I think if it's not articulated in her job, right? If it's not articulated in her job as a requirement, she still needs to make the call on that. I'm not sure that there's a job. I don't know where this is at in the world, Todd. I think you're in the UK, if I'm correct. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that, but wherever you're at in the world, I don't think they can require that. So if he's saying she can't, I would find that. Go check really quick. We have been dating for several months, but we kept it low key because. Oh, okay. Well, if you've been dating for several months, fuck that guy. Sorry, that just came out. I'm like, if her boss says that, I'm wondering if the boss is jealous or interested in her. Is that
Toilet cleaning.
Huey?
Yeah.
The lady? Okay. Yeah, if you've been dating for several months and it's going well and you think it's really good, then I wouldn't let that stop you. If that's something that comes up immediately when someone asks you on a first date, I would find it as a woman using an excuse to get out of the date. But if you got prescribed medication, just go to a different doctor. There you go. Solve the problem, dude. Just go, hey, hun, I got it solved. I'm just gonna ask to see a different doctor. The fact that you got prescribed medicine 7 or 8 months ago, depending on what that medicine was, there's no proof that you were together at the time that happened. So, done. How does that sound? Is that possible? Is that possible that you could get a different doctor and then whatever medicine that you were prescribed at that time, you weren't serious or dating? There's no proof of that. So then it's done. And then she doesn't have to treat you anymore, which you don't want her treating you anymore anyway. Like a nurse pregnant, if you stop seeing her professionally, then it's no longer a conflict of interest. There you go. Judy Jack says the same thing. So just seek another doctor. That's all. And it would probably be better for both of you anyway. She could probably recommend you someone. Dun-dun. Like I said, if the guy made more of an issue out of it, if it's a man, I'd be suspect to the fact that maybe he likes her. Like Mac says, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Sometimes isn't it funny when you look at something as a problem, and tell me, Todd, does that solve it or is it not that simple? Yes. By the way, socialist health care works here. We get medicine almost for free. Well, good for you, Sabina. I'm happy for you, hon. I'm happy for you. I watched the election debate. Was less show than last time, but still so many lies, false or misleading info said. Wow, what a mess. Man, I'm not going to get into politics right now because that's not what this show's about, and it's highly sensitive, but God, people just feast off it now. It's just everywhere. You know what's amazing is that there's people that used to do, have you guys seen Valuetainment? I think Rob would know this. Hold on a sec. Can you, I watched the game. She said he's jealous. Oh, you mean the doctor? Does that solve your problem, Todd, or is that not possible? To just was the debate funny? It's sad for American people. I won't take that personal, Sabina. Don't worry. Very true concept. It's complicated, but something I need to bring up to her. I don't want to jeopardize her career. I like I said, I think that why not just fix it that way? And the other thing you could add to that, Todd, if she's really hung up on the idea that her boss told her this, get a second opinion from an outside person that's at the same level as her boss, so that you're not placating this guy that might be jealous, or it's just one opinion. But I think Judy Jack, and like I said, I don't know where you're at in the world. I forgot. Forgive me for that, because there's a couple different Todds that have come on the live stream before. I know Todd Whitmore. I know your name. And I think there's one in Minnesota or something like that. But that's what I would do. Number one, I would just get another doctor. Number two, if she's really bent about it, get a second opinion from another doctor that's not there, that is in a similar position with a physician assistant. And then number three, about the medication thing, I think once you, there's no evidence of you dating before then. So Virginia. Okay, right on. Okay, you had a big interaction with Lala before because she's from Virginia also. I think Trump is hilarious. Wow. That's right, Todd. I remember you wanted to do a live coaching for a little while, but it sounds like you're doing really well now, so that's good, bud. I'm happy for you. Really happy for you. Anyone else have any questions and any topics you want me to unpack in next week's live stream? If it bothered her, she would have never gone out with you in the first place. Still do. You still do want to do a live coaching session. All right, we'll go to my website and book something up. Let's do it. Is her boss even allowed to give out patients confidential or something like? I understand where the boss is coming from, but I think there are ways to deal with it without you guys having to stop dating. That's just suspect to me. That sounds like he kind of wants you to stop dating. You know what I mean? I know that there's very strict rules about that, but like I said, if you get another doctor, you should be fine. If you get another doctor, or if you, like I said, I bet someone else would go, oh, that's fine, as long as, I mean, there's no evidence of any foul play as far as what you've said. Isn't it seem that way, Rob? I've actually had numerous clients that were nurses that were dating married doctors that they worked with. Numerous. I don't know if that's like very, very common. It's and they were saying that the doctors were 20 years as a surgeon, and they were some type of assistant to that doctor or worked with them. Then how can you trust that doctor? I just reinforced your statement. I never dated a doctor. Neither did I. I think it looks really good to a lot of people because a doctor is such a prestigious thing in most societies. I would say in all societies. Like if someone says they're a doctor, it's impressive. But I would imagine that their jobs are very time consuming. And I've had, again, numerous clients that dated doctors. And they actually seem like high maintenance, to be honest. They seem like they're usually... Looking at it, and I've never thought about this before, they're usually, whether it's a man or woman, the one that's the doctor is running the show. Usually. Things are mostly in their frame. They hold the power in the relationship. Yeah, I've seen valuetainment. What I was going to say about that is, like, that guy used to do, what's his name? Patrick Bev? Patrick Bev something? He's of Persian descent, I believe. And he used to do shows where he interviewed people, and he used to talk. He's talked about multiple things, and he, like I said, he interviewed people in like big time interviews, and then he did like financial advice, and now he just does a daily show about news, and about politics and taxes, and it's just like, wow, everyone's jumped on this to be the critic of those things. It's just like, wow. But I guess you can talk about those subjects every day and get viewers. So, but I'm through Bon Secours, and she works for them, and I can't really switch hospitals. I don't think you need to switch hospitals. I think you can just switch doctors. Does that make sense? Like, I don't understand why you couldn't just switch doctors. Too many people waste too much time debating those sort of things. Well, Oh, we got 17 on deck now. All right. So I'm doing this feng shui in my room. Good for you. I always say that word wrong, feng shui. That's actually, they have a different word for it over here. I forgot to bring a glass of water today. I might be coming back on tonight for a second live stream. It's very possible. I love this new mic. To welcome love in your life. Well, good for you again. What's that? What do you mean, Luna? She's under my primary care physician. Is it possible to change that? Raw politics is my second passion. You see a lot of personal disorders in people, how they are willing to do anything to get in power position relationships. You know what I've always thought, Sabina? It's just that, or not always, but over the last 10 or 15 years, the people that would be the best president or leaders don't want the job. That's the sad thing. And then you got all these critics and spectators just pointing out what the person it takes. And I'm not saying any of the candidates or anything like that are good, bad, happy, or sex. I'm not gonna go there. But at what point, individuals that are extremely critical of what's going on, the part that gets me is like, well, what are you doing as an individual? What do you do in your own life? You just point out all these people that do wrong things, but you don't. What is it that you do? You just get caught up in this whirlwind of judgment. Now, if you're judging, but at the same time you're doing something as small or little as it is, that's making the world a better place in the arena that you're judging others, okay, fine. It has something to do with the relationship. Yeah, I agree. Cool feng shui. I've studied that sort of element of psychology in university. I just rushed towards personal growth more. Seem to be many people waste literally thousands of hours getting zero out of it. Good point. Like, you should make the space for someone like in your closet. Leave some. Hey, Mac, what's your take on body language during in-person dating? That's a good question. I've actually noticed it more as I get older, but I think subconsciously most of us see it, but we ignore it. But there's a lot of good YouTube videos that you can get the basics. I actually just watched a master class on, I talked about that earlier on another live stream. You can lead people in certain things. But anyways, body language during an in-person dating. Yeah, there's a lot of tells when someone's interested in you, but you still have to make the moves. It's like if you go fishing and you get bites, you still got to set the hook and reel the fish in, and there's still parts of the thing. Just because someone's interested in you doesn't mean that it's all going to work out. And people are interested in you in moments too, but for women, we've talked about this before. I think maybe you weren't on, Luna, but for women, they say that, like when a woman does this with her hair or rubs her neck or pulls up her hair is supposed to be a big one to show her neck. Those are tells that she's maybe interested in you, she's attracted to you. I think eyes say a lot. How much eye contact is made, how strong the eye contact is. There's some things about legs crossing. I've never heard I don't know the term preening. Is that I think when women face you, that's a big one, and as opposed to there's supposed to be something when their legs are pointed in a different direction to you, like towards the door, that means they want to leave. But if you're a human being and you've been around long enough, you're picking up those things, you're just ignoring them. So one thing that will hurt you in reading positive body language is if you have a low self-esteem, or you don't believe you're good looking, or you don't believe the woman likes you, then she could still like you, be interested in you, and think you're good looking, but you'll basically block out those positives, right? So you'll just assume like she doesn't really like me that much, even though she's smiling the way she is. She just thinks I'm funny, So there is something to that. There is something to that. And if you think about it, look back on your life when a woman's liked you and look at the body language she gave you. Because it's like human beings look different, but the way they express body language is quite similar, right? Even though their eyes are a different color or their hair is a different length, the body language is quite similar. If you don't want any animosity, 2 rules: stay away from politics and religion, and don't speak of your personal business. Yeah, it's sad because sometimes you just want to have an open conversation about it, but you're right. People get a little overboard about it. Body language is very important. It's that around 80% of the conversation happening nonverbal. I think one of the ones that I've seen before is 50. I forgot the numbers. 55, 30. I said it before, 15. It's like 55% body language. I would say that you think about body language, a lot of it's in the face though, right? Because you think body, but a lot of it's in the face. One thing that's a big one is if you're flirting or you're talking to a woman, I think if she goes out of her way to hit you on the arm or tap your shoulder, do anything to touch you, not in a dirty or creepy way, that usually signifies that she's very comfortable with you touching her. Maybe that doesn't mean you touch her back or hug her immediately, but that means that there's some playful interest there. And I think when I was younger, I didn't really realize that before. Preening is when a woman played with their hair, and stuff in front of somebody they find attractive. It's a way to show that their best features, I believe. Sometimes if you're funny and charming, you can get the girl. If a woman says, "Yeah, I understand what you're saying," she's lying. But it's annoying if she doesn't understand and asks you to explain. I wouldn't be, if you don't understand and you ask to explain, I look at it as good listening, that you're not just, yeah. I think that bugs me when someone goes, yeah. That conveys that they're bored. It sounds like Todd's had a bad experience with women not being understanding. Let me see, since we have 17 on deck, if I have another story that I set aside here. Watch the body language, and she says, "Yeah, I understand what you're saying," and you'll know if she's lying. Imagine if we all had the chance to sit in a room and have these exact conversations in person. That would be a movie. It'd be much different because some people are very uncomfortable in person. Yes, a story, okay, but you don't count Mac. I mean, if it was a girl you were dating. Funny. Which was the one I shared yesterday. I actually have a story that, is it here? just shared that one. No, there was one that I started to share it because it was from someone that did a private video response. And then he goes afterwards. He's like, you know what, you can share it with everyone because I think it might help some people. And we did a live coaching session later on. He was like, go ahead and share my story. And his story was a doozy. And I started sharing it on a live stream. I don't know who was on that live stream, but the live stream was constantly getting buffered, which is extremely frustrating for me. All right. Okay, so this is one I started to go into before, but I wasn't able to go all in because of the thing. But this was a private video response. So he gave some details that more than when people usually do. But like I said, later on, he told me, he goes, if you want to use this in your Publix, you can. So he writes, my fiance ended our relationship 1 week before our scheduled wedding, which was 2 weeks ago. We had been together for 18 months, and I had moved in with her last November. So stop me if anyone heard this one before on the previous one. I don't think anyone has. No? Okay. So my fiance ended our relationship 1 week before our scheduled wedding. So right off the bat, that's highly dramatic and tough, right? Which was 2 weeks ago. We had been together for 18 months, and I had moved in with her last November. She had proposed to me last summer. So the woman proposed to him, and they were together 18 months. Things have been very good. I believe he was in his late 30s, early 40s. He might tell that later on. Things had been very good seemingly up until July of this year. One of her children's fathers was in the paper for a crime, and my daughter had been assaulted. It was a rough month. So I'm not going to go into those details as we did in the live coaching session, but some people say they had a rough month. This guy had more than, it was extremely bad. COVID had also created some issues as we both worked from home during the lockdowns. I'm an engineer, and she's a psychotherapist, so we both have high stress level jobs. Her being a psychotherapist, so we had always spoke about our preferences. We communicated well and rarely argued. Rarely argued is always suspect to me. And the fact that this is interesting. When you go and agree to get married within 18 months, it's okay. It's up to you, but do you know that person really well yet? I'm not sure because you're still in the honeymoon phase in a lot of ways. In August, as the wedding was approaching, things seemed good again. We finalized the invitation list, booked our hotel for this honeymoon. You do know this is a breakup, right, folks? The day after we signed our marriage license, we got into an actual fight. See, that's the problem when you don't fight. The first time you do, or the times that you do in the future, it becomes extremely dramatic in a foreign situation. Laying in bed that night, she was being cold, which rarely happens, so I asked, what was up? She then said that she's starting to get annoyed with me. My response was, well, then go fuck yourself. It was not good. And for the first time during a disagreement, she had to leave the room. So, you get in a fight. People are allowed to get annoyed with each other. Maybe what you said hurt her feelings or upset her, but I don't know if that's grounds to break up. It might be grounds to not talk for a day. The next day, she said the wedding needed to be postponed, that the timing wasn't right. I got upset, as she did. We decided to take a few days apart to cool off and calm down. I think this was a really good call. She said she needed some space, and I didn't give it to her. Okay. I texted her on day 4 of the agreed-upon 5-day cool-off period. When we returned to our home, she turned from the sweetest woman I had ever met into an ice queen. For the next few days, I walked on eggshells, cleaned the condo, took the kids off her hands, got her flowers, the whole nine. That weekend, we tried to keep it light, took the kids bowling, watched a movie. By Sunday night, things seemed to be getting better. The next Monday morning, I leaned in for a kiss. She turned away. She said that there's a problem and she's not attracted to me anymore. Up until the fight, she showed me no signs of this. The intimacy was frequent and good. She was initiating physical contact, so I was pretty confused. So this is what's suspect when you're with someone for 18 months and you never fight, and then the first fight you have, it's the end. Did my 1 week of sucking up, acting needy, have that much of effect? In this particular case, if you had a 5-day cool off, I mean, it certainly didn't make her more attracted to you, but it shouldn't be grounds for breaking up, let alone postponing the wedding. I mean, at some point, you were sucking up and being needy for a reason. You had never shown that side of you before, and it's never good to be needy. But I don't think it's, like I said, grounds to break up. That night we talked. I said, "What is going on?" Her response was that she was confused, didn't know how she felt. I asked if she wanted to call off the engagement. She said no. I asked her if she wanted to take a break. She said no. I asked if she needed a few days to clear her head, and she said yes. Bottom line is everything's in her frame. I mean, you're asking for approval on everything. So I went to my folks' house that evening. 2 days later, she texted me to call her. She then said, "This isn't working. We're not compatible. You can't get your things out of the condo. You can get your things out of the car on Saturday." See, now this is one of those things that sounds highly unreasonable, extremely impulsive. And I would say that if someone's going to act like this, you're lucky you're not marrying them. Because getting married means that you're all in and that you're willing to go through the thick and thin. And this isn't even that bad for her to go this way. So on Saturday, I went to the condo, and all my things were packed. I moved out completely in just a few hours. I initiated no contact immediately. Last weekend, she emailed me. She said that she was sorry, but she realized that we were uncomfortably different in significant ways. And this could be true, actually. So when I actually talked to this guy, he was very perplexed by this, and he said that they had some differences, but there was a lot of sacrifices made. Maybe this was true. One of the things I would say is she's a psychotherapist, and he agreed, is they look for things, they filter for things that are problems, and then they might blow them up or act like they're not something they can deal with, but uncomfortably different in significant ways. She then notified me that she was taking me off of her insurance. She then texted my daughter and told her that she didn't leave for a lack of love for either her or I, and that one day my daughter would understand. I've not heard from her since. 5 days, no contact. His questions: what the hell happened? Where do I go from here? Do I continue no contact? Just move on? I mean, the only option is no contact at this point, because she's been crystal clear on why she broke up. She's already cleared out the house. You've already moved out. So there's no way to just go back on things. Totally lost. Never thought that at 41 I'd have to move back in with my folks. She's 44, if that matters. There's not another man. I do know that for a fact. So is it something else? Is the relationship totally dead? In this particular case, you have to go on what the individual told you, which was we're significantly different. And you didn't know each other that long. Some more details of the story were he was extremely upset because he had moved in with her and sold his house and went all in on moving in with her, which was a choice. Now, anytime you go into a relationship and you move in with someone and you sacrifice some of your stuff or your home, just know that there's nothing certain going to be about that relationship. And the fact that you were going to get married and this happened before is actually a blessing in disguise, because it probably would have happened later on, because it seems like this individual felt like there was some, and to get a little more detailed that we talked in the live coaching, there was things such as snoring, eating loudly. There was some things that he said that really bothered her, that he really worked on, that she couldn't let go of. So there was multiple things there. But if someone breaks up with you before you get married, I would rather do that than after. But the other part of that, it's really hard to get back together when you tell everyone in the family and friends, we're getting married, here's the invitation, meet us in the mountains, it's going to be beautiful, there's going to be champagne, there's going to be this, and then all of a sudden you got to tell everyone, yeah, it's off. That's traumatic, and it's hard to come back from that. And so the only option is to go no contact, stay strong, be on your own, and deal with it. And then you got kids involved. He said he had, he had been there for the kids and whatnot. But this was a tough one. I mean, we did a hour and a half long coaching session, and this dude's a strong, confident, good guy that was doing everything right. And there was more to the story, like I said in the live coaching session when we unpacked it. When he said he had a rough month, it was way deeper than insinuated in that first message, and there was a lot of twists and turns there. Okay, I don't know this story good. Ouch. Imagine calling it quits a week before the event. It takes a lifetime to know someone. Rob and I would be the next to bar section of the room enjoying Jack Daniel's whiskey, my preference of alcohol, and Red Bulls. I've never been a Jack Daniel's fan. Kino escalation, that's what it is. I might have a gin as well. Okay. If you meet the one yesterday, you can get married tomorrow. It describes the techniques and routines that pickup artists use to create attraction and rapport for seduction. Kino comes from kinesthetic, and it means that of physical feel. I was on that live. Okay, that's the relationship is much more important than the wedding. But if she says she's no longer attracted to him, that's huge and doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, and Judy Jack, do you think when a woman says that, I don't think she's lying, huh? I do think that you can be re-attracted, but it's not going to take time. It's going to take a lot of time. That's interesting, Rob. I learned something new today. Yeah, the not attracted line usually takes months to escalate to that point. Kino escalation, physical intimacy, part 3. Betty says, damn. Asking you to get married after not even 2 years is always a bad move. Well, I think what threw him for a loop is that they're in their early 40s. They had kids. So he said that they had been both online. That's not my phone. Maybe that's outside. They had both been doing online dating, and they just matched up so good right from the get-go. And she proposed to him. She even took him from Social Security. She doesn't care about him, obviously, in my opinion. That was quick. It should be investigated to see if she has any mental illness issues. You know what's really interesting about the psychotherapist part? And he agreed. And I'm a coach myself and help people a lot and different things. A lot of times, if you're a therapist, or I think Johnny's, who was on here earlier, I think his significant other is a therapist of some type. A lot of times the reason why people are interested in those things is because they want to help themselves in some way, if that makes sense. And so I think that this particular woman, when we got into it in the live coaching session, did have major issues in a variety of different places. And one of the things that stood out is that he said that when he first met her sister, that everything's good with my sister until it isn't. And he was like, what does that even mean? And I said, well, it's evident here that what that would mean to me is that if there's a problem, it's not really necessarily going to get fixed. It's more going to just be pushed to the side. She has something, reality check, hit him like a ton of bricks, feel sorry for that situation. Landed in for a kiss, gets turned away, time to walk, some time to walk. He's giving her all the power. He clearly doesn't know how to navigate the situation. I think this was one of those things, Rob, about this situation. It's easy to say that, but when you have kids involved, you're about to get married, he moved in with her, it came out of nowhere. I think what happens, and I use the term overcompensation, it's really hard. And this guy was an ex-Marine, had a great job. He is not a beta male. Okay, just I had a live coaching session with him. He doesn't apply to be weak or needy. He had a moment where he's just like, he's panicking because he's like, what the hell happened here? We had a great thing. And so I wouldn't say that about him. I mean, like I said, knowing him, talking to this guy, he had a moment where he overcompensated because of the situation. I think in real-time situations, it's hard to go, all right, let me stay masculine here. And a lot of men do this. And I think that one of the things he didn't realize is that she had a lost attraction maybe a couple months earlier, but they were working their way through it because there's kids involved. They live together. They're going to get married. They have a lot of entanglements here. Jack Daniels, and here's what the big difference is. He was seeing things one way. She was seeing things in a completely different way. And he thought she was seeing him the same way he was. Jack Daniels was the death of me having a personal bar in my house. Never again. Yeah, isn't it? It's, you know, you want to hear something funny, Todd? When you watch movies, I just got done for the first time watching Peaky Blinders on Netflix. And I don't watch Netflix regularly. I finally got into it and gave it my time. Great fucking show. Great show. And I have a close friend that's from Wales that actually looks like the main character. I'm going to have him on the show. One of my really good friends that I've known for years over here in Thailand. Same kind of way about it. Like that guy, Tom Shelby, that's a bad dude, man. I mean, Corey Wayne always talks about acting like James Bond. I would say act like Thomas Shelby. It does matter, so I know betas could be a disguise. Yes, because he cares about her more than she cares. Like I said, this guy wasn't beta. He wasn't. He had a beta moment maybe, but he wasn't. He was just spun by the shocking events that happened. It's like, I've never been in a relationship where I feel like I was completely fooled. What do I mean by that? Like you can be in a relationship where you think your partner's interested in someone else or emotionally cheating or one of those things, but where someone just all of a sudden is like throws out there that I don't know if it's even more harsh to someone just directly says I'm just not attracted to you anymore, or we just have too many uncomfortable differences and you didn't see that coming. That's not a moment, I think, where someone is able to mount up and just be masculine when they were going to get married to this individual. It's shocking. And like I said, I would feel duped. I would feel like someone almost stole my beliefs from me. I haven't had that happen. I don't know what it would be like. I really don't. And like I said, talking to the guy, if you talk to this guy, Rob, you wouldn't go like, oh, this guy's a beta. Like I said, former Marine, engineer, very direct, good father. He wasn't at all in any way. He was just he was struggling. He was shocked. He was duped. He felt like, and there's those are the breakups that linger on people because they're like, wow, I had this all wrong. She's in her masculine. He's acting weak, so he's been thrown out like an old pair of shoes. They want to help themselves, so they study people's minds. So common here. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm doing breakup coaching, and one of the reasons that I'm able to do it is because I went through a breakup that I thought was so harsh and so bad, and I can be understanding about it. Oh, so he is hot? Mary, how come they didn't talk? They didn't talk, right? They didn't fight. I used to love the honey jack. Okay. There are worse things than calling a wedding off. Much better than a divorce later. Thank you, Judy Jack. I missed you. He's legitimately trying to piece together what happened. She could have major cold feet. He is. He is. I'm saying that in hindsight and looking at it, and he was even aware, like, God, I acted needy and weak, But in the moment, he was exactly what Judy Jack said. He was trying to piece this thing together. He's like, where did it go wrong? Because he thought they had a few petty disagreements or arguments, and it turned into calling off a wedding and saying that I don't want to be with you anymore. And one of the things that really hurt him is that he moved from another state to live with her. Once you have it in your mind, your partner is cheating, it's over. There's nothing he or she can do to ever put your mind at ease. I guess so. There's some people that suspect cheating all the time because they're just insecure, and there's some people that actually, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's something there. Just like I feel like people get too deep into attachment theory, I think people overdo the beta and alpha thing. I agree, Skinner. I think that it's too broad a spectrum. You're either beta or you're alpha. I think that men float into being a beta and float into being an alpha, and then you got like Jocko Willnick and you got David Goggins that are like on a scale of 1 to 10, they'd be like an alpha 10, right? They're Navy SEALs. I don't think it's that simple. But like I said, this guy, this particular guy definitely wasn't one. But the crazy thing is, Rob, to your defense, he knew that he was acting like a weak and needy. He knew in hindsight, but he had good intentions because he was trying to save a marriage. He was like, she moved so quick, he reacted quick. Her one of her final things was, I'll just put it here because he wrote an extremely thorough story. Last weekend, she emailed me. She said that she was sorry, but she realized that we were uncomfortably different in significant ways. She then notified me that she was taking me off her insurance. She then texted my daughter and told her she didn't have leave for any lack of love, either of us. One of the other things was when they lived together, COVID happened, and they were in a condo for like 2 months on lockdown. And so he said, like, that's a good way to get really annoyed with each other. Dark Knight wrote at the beginning of the stream something very deep. You see true colors when they break up with you. You do, but it gets lost sometimes. You do see true colors, but people's true colors are true to the moment in the present. So if you had a relationship, his was only 18 months, but if you had a relationship of 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, the relationship and the feelings have probably went through some waves. And so when you're like, wow, like I know this in my own breakup, the person that I broke up with, or we broke up together, whatever we want to call it, wasn't the same person that we were hot and heavy in a good relationship for 3 or 4 years prior to that. She had changed in multiple ways, and maybe even I changed in some ways. And so how you handle that breakup is who that person is in the moment. And like I said, they could be different than they were 5 years, and that's affected by job, income, inheritance. I've heard of stories where someone inherits some money or wins some money and they're done. Multiple things. Did she settle for him? She was at the age where many women tend to settle for something they may not be totally into. Possibly, Rob. I think that in this case, knowing a little bit more to the story, being in a live coaching session, I think that they were definitely into each other. And I think that the COVID thing that happened, and this woman had deeper issues that I didn't discuss, and they had to live together for 2-3 months on lockdown in a condo, became extremely irritating for them both. If she just settled, then likely she came to a realization that her initial intuition was wrong, so she cuts him loose at a minor issue. Men will have beta moments. True, happens all the time. Even though you have home-baked cookies, you still want to try other cookies. It's human nature. I've never heard of that. I've always used the statement, you're always going to look at the menu, but you got to order the same thing. What's up, Jesse Chapman? I'm on a marathon right now. It's a natural reaction for those men who aren't aware. Jesse, you got some killer pictures on Instagram, dude. Are those pictures that you take? I don't think I've had a beta moment in yours, but I know I've had them when I didn't know what I know now. You haven't had a beta moment in yours. That's a pretty strong statement, Rob. Have a Navy SEAL judge you. Or my dad's group of friends, truck drivers and duck hunters. That's a group that you don't see very many beta moments. When was the beta moment? Tell me. I'll call you at 407 and let you know. Todd, we can unpack that, especially if a person is immature and sexually frustrated. There are more reasons. Yeah, I took them while I was away, all done on the iPhone. Absolutely amazing place where I've been last month. Good for you, man. That was. I'm very aware of not. Do you catch? That's a good statement, Rob. Do you catch? Do you catch yourself before you do a beta move? Is that what you're saying? Do you know what I mean by that? I remember I was doing hot yoga for a period of time, and now I do it like once a week. But I did it like 20 times a month for like 3 months. And it was almost like it really slowed down things in my mind. And one thing I hate is traffic. I mean, who likes traffic? But this is crazy. Actually, in the Bay Area, talking to my nephew and some of the other people, they're like, "Oh, I love traffic. I just turn on the music, just smoke some cigarette." Like they because they're so used to it. I hate traffic. So or bad driving. I'm not a unsafe driver or anything like that. And I remember like someone cutting me off. And then I saw in my head my reaction of like, what the fuck? You know, like I saw the reaction and I just went, shoo, and I just pushed it to the side. And I went, it's okay. I just readjusted. I remember I was doing that more often. Like everything had slowed down for me a bit. And I'm just wondering if you're doing that with the beta alpha thing, like, ooh, old raw beta, bye-bye. And then you just slide into the moment. Because that's mindfulness is what that is. Todd, we can unpack. Okay, no, it's true. It's true. I'm very aware of that. Okay. Yeah, I took them. Well, okay, I fell behind here. I'm consciously aware and ask myself prior to speaking or actions, is what am I about to do or say going to make me look beta or help my case? Well, I'm sure in my life, because I don't use that mantra, that there's some people that go, wow, that was beta, Mac. I'm sure I have some beta moments on the live stream. Oh, if he moved from another state, it could be that the fantasy and the distance match reality. She shouldn't have been the one to propose. COVID caused increased divorce rates. Living together is a different ball game, isn't it, Judy Jack? Traffic sucks. Like, I was shocked when my nephew's like, I like traffic. I was like, what? Will cost once of it is, people do not realize, I've said this before, how much brain work it takes to drive. I'm tired when I get done driving. Not using their indicators for left or right or being in the slow lane. Very simple. If a guy isn't aware, it's almost natural to have beta moments. I expect them from most guys. That said, certain moments of being more human shouldn't be confused with being beta. It's all how those elements of human interaction are framed. Okay, that's a good way to put it. I'll buy that. You know what I'm going to do on an upcoming show? I've got a load of book notes, which aren't very popular discussions. And I just did a podcast or live stream, but it was on an unfavorable time, unpacking No More Mr. Nice Guy. And there wasn't one comment that said certain moment. Many women like a mix of alpha and beta traits anyway. I don't mind it either. That said, certain moments. What's the thing that you guys want to unpack? funny because this system I'm using right now has a delay when a person wants to try other cookies. Is that something you can turn off when you're in a relationship that you want to, that you're attracted to someone and you want to intimately do something with them? I mean, is that, yeah? Yeah, you mean on an Apple system? What do you mean, podcast? What I mean is, like, can you I don't think you can control your thoughts. I think you can control your actions. I think that if you go into a nice restaurant and you see an attractive waitress and you're with your girlfriend, you don't need to stare, you don't need to flirt with her. But if you look at her and you think, damn, nice ass, is that something you can control in your brain? When I say beta, typically I'm referring to the behaviors that repel attraction, not the human side that commonly is looked up as beta. Again, it's how it's framed that's important to know. I agree. It's funny because I've never been with someone that's like, oh, you're checking this person out. It's just, you know what I mean? It's like one thing to say it, but to think it. You know, if women were like, oh, I really want men to be more vulnerable and say everything that they're thinking, like that's what they would say most of the time. Like, damn, check that chick out. Like that would be going through a lot of guys' heads. And then it'd be like, oh, I can't believe you're like that. It's like, don't you check out guys too, subconsciously? Or vice versa, or, you know. Yeah, I'm saying that when can I call in, Mac? You want to talk? You need to talk about something specific, though, Petty Betty, because you go all over the place. We have to talk about a specific breakup or a situation. We're going to have call-ins. It can't just be conversational. I want it to be breakup story-based. So if you want to share a story, that's what we're going to get into. It's not going to be like a guest host, let's just talk. If your partner can't accept you, then he or she is not the right one for you. You women like a mix of masculine and feminine traits in a man. To know the Vietnamese culture is to want to know it more. All this is talk about mentally healthy person, not about someone who already has issues. You know what's interesting is I think, even the people that you think don't have issues, everyone has some. I don't know, the best story, the most dramatic one probably. The most real and dramatic one that draws the attention. You know, I've taught public speaking for years at the university I'm at, and it's like the best stories are the ones that you know are true and that are almost partially unbelievable and usually have some drama. Yes, I get that with issues. Yeah, we all have them. Isn't it? It's like it's amazing that adults are afraid of clowns. Like that's a phobia, right? That's based on something from your childhood, correct? That's based on being scared of the first clown you ever came across. That's what that's from. We got 20 on deck, 6 likes. I got $19.99 from Luna Martinez as a donation, which I highly appreciate. I got 6 likes. I'm 2 hours and 8 minutes in here, I believe. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. It's not showing it on the softwares. I might cry though. That's where the drama comes in. And actually, the sick thing is, Petty Betty, people don't want to admit it, but they enjoy it. Let me reframe that. They don't enjoy it. They feel it. When someone cries about something, it's a different kind of mentality. If it was all the same, the world would be very dull. That's a good point. Like I said earlier, the the Michael Jordan interview I just saw. Like Michael Jordan, the guy goes, "What's your most disappointing moment?" Michael Jordan takes a swift of the cigar, and he's like, "I don't have a most disappointment moment." And the guy's like, "Well, you have a and he goes, "No, because every disappointing moment leads to a good moment. So they're never going to be disappointing in hindsight, because if you erase your disappointing moments or regrets, then you're never going to get to the good parts. Everything leads to something new." I thought that, I was like, Michael Jordan, it's not by accident who he is and how much success he has, not just from basketball. He's a fucking smooth character, man. 7 likes. Thank you. I appreciate it, Mary. Have you ever cheated and realized you really don't want to be with either one and would rather be single? Just saying, speaking the truth. Have you ever cheated and realized you don't want to be with either one? No. I've never been in that situation before. That probably means that you're settling for intimacy. It might be that if you can't choose between the two, it might be guilt that you're running on 2 relationships while lying, and that's going to burn you out. Haven't met anyone without issues. Ironically, it's a person's quirks that people fall in love with. Certainly more relatable. Judy Jack, I agree, hon. You should be a breakup coach. I'm going to make that available on my website soon. So it's like a taste test to realize you don't like the food. Thanks for the like. I appreciate it. Yeah, asking me to come, so I'm here. Todd, that's good. You notice you don't like them. I mean, if you're divided between 2 individuals showing one similar attention, the interesting thing about spinning plates or being with multiple individuals, it takes a lot of energy. So, and it takes a lot of back and forth. I always think to myself, these guys that are married to like 3 or 4 women, I'm like, wow, that seems like that would be a lot of work. It seems like that would be a lot of it, but I guess it works for some people. Well, cheating is by choice and is betrayal. So before getting to that, you don't want to be with them. You need to get that across to them. Some people are serial cheaters. They need the abundance of interaction to justify certain needs. It becomes a second job. The thing about lying is the first lie increases the opportunity for a second lie, and a third lie, and a fourth lie, because you got to continue to hide the first one. So you start burying yourself in guilt. Oh, I definitely morally regretted it. That's okay. I'm not judging you on that. Like, because doing that, we're always evolving into new people, and hopefully from that situation there, you're like, I wouldn't do that again. Johnny Depp said if you're in love with 2 people at the same time, pick the second one, because if you were really in love with the first one, you wouldn't have fallen for the second one. Johnny Depp doesn't seem very intelligent, so I don't know if I'd take his advice, but I'm just joking. I don't know if it's that simple, but I would think that more people would fall for the second one. But here's the crazy part. Probably there's a lot of people that would choose the second one based on what you said, but then miss the first one. Johnny Depp pause in a world. I don't know. I don't follow the tabloids or the media for that. All right, this has been a good one. 2 hours and 15 minutes. We got 17 on deck. I'll be back on tomorrow. I'll probably be back on tomorrow earlier, though, just to give you a heads up. And I might even do a late stream tonight. So, but this seems to be a good time for many of you out there. All right, folks, I'm going to close it out. It's human nature to fall for more than one person. The second one should not have been your attention. The second one should not have been your attention. What time is it late? Is the later stream? The later stream, if I do it tonight, will be around 8 p.m. tonight, Indochina time. So put that in your... But he's hot. Attraction doesn't count, but it does count, right? Eastern time? I think it's, I want to say it's either 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. The time in Thailand right now is 1:44 p.m. or 13:44 military time for my buddy Jesse. That's why I said it could be the other way around, too. Thanks. Glad to catch up with you guys. Mary, you see, you are an easy target for abusers. So 9 a.m. my time. Yeah, I think it is. All right, folks, take it easy. It's curtains. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the 1999 Luna, and I'll be back on deck soon, folks.